Hello students, good morning. We will continue the third unit of nationalism in India lesson. Today we are going to learn the topic how participants saw the movement. In this, actually how participants saw the movement means who were the people who really participated in the civil disobedience movement. Okay, so that's the meaning. And here uh, we are going to see five communities or five um, societies of people who had participated in the civil disobedience movement, and we'll start with the rich peasants community. The rich peasant communities, that is Patidars of Gujarat and the Jats of Uttar Pradesh, these people participated in the civil disobedience movement, but they had their own reasons for participation. So these rich peasants used to produce commercial crops. As the prices fell and the trade depression occurred, their incomes lowered. And since their incomes lowered, they were not able to pay the revenues to the Britishers. And so they had to sell their raw materials at arbitrary prices, that is very less prices, and they were not able to meet the revenue demands because they asked for a reduction of revenues, but the reduction was not done by the Britishers. They were asked to pay the revenues, and they were not interested in paying the huge revenue demands asked by the Britishers. So this enraged the rich peasants. They were angry. Who? The rich peasants. And they became very active in the civil disobedience movement, as they thought that fight for Swaraj was a struggle against high revenues. So they did not really participate in the civil disobedience movement for the sake of Swaraj, but they had their own selfish motto as well. And what was that? That was a struggle against huge revenues. So these were the rich peasants of Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. And next we are going to see the poor peasantry. The poor peasantry were not just interested in lowering of the revenue demands, but many of them were small tenants. Okay, they were cultivating land that were rented. Okay, and they rented this from the landlords. So as the depression continued, the cash incomes dribbled, and small tenants found it difficult to pay their rent. So they didn't want to pay the rent. So they wanted the unpaid rent to the landlords to be remitted. Okay, and they wanted the Congress to support the no rent campaign in most of the places. But unfortunately for the poor peasants, neither the Congress nor the other people really were interested in the poor peasants. And so the relationship between the poor peasants and the Congress remained uncertain. The poor peasantry were not interested in the civil disobedience movement. They did not really participate in the civil disobedience movement. Somewhere, some people did participate, but most of them were not at all enthusiastic in participation. Okay, this was the poor peasantry. Next, we are going to see the business class. Okay, so during the First World War, it so happened that the Indian merchants and the industrialists had huge profits and they became very powerful. Okay, how did this happen? Because during the First World War, um, the raw supplies, war supplies, that is making of jute bags, uniforms, boots, all this was given to the Indian industrialist to make. Okay, so they supplied this to the Britishers and they had become very, very powerful. They had become too prosperous. Okay, now what they had to do with the income? So that income they wanted to expand their business because they had too much of money now. They wanted to expand their business, but they were very much afraid Of what? Afraid of the Britishers, because the Britishers had their monopoly right in production. So they didn't want whatever was produced by the Britishers, the Indians were not supposed to produce that. That was called as a monopoly right. Now, these industrialists wanted to expand the business, but there were restraints from the Britishers. So they thought that they could participate in the civil disobedience movement indirectly. That is how indirectly? Indirectly by financing the um, civil disobedience uh, people, are the civil disobedience movement. So these industrialists also formed what you mean they formed conferences, like they formed the Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in 1920. They formed the Federation of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries, that is FICCI, in 1927. And these were formed by great industrialists of that time, like Pushottam Das, Thakur Das, and G.D. Birla. uh, you must have heard about G.D. Birla. So these industrialists are famous even today. So these industrialists attacked the colonial control and participated in the civil disobedience movement. They, as I told you, they gave financial assistance. They refused to buy and sell imported goods. Then, after the failure of the Roundtable Conference, business groups were no longer uniformly enthusiastic. Now, why was this so? Because they were scared about the spread of the militant activities. They were worried about a prolonged disruption of business. So, the next time that the industrialists had to participate in the civil disobedience movement, they were not at all enthusiastic in participation, because they were scared of the Britishers, because they could stop their business and they could say them not to continue their business anymore. So that is what they were scared of. So limited participation was there of the big industrialist. The next comes the industrial working class, that is the workers. Not really the workers were interested in the civil disobedience movement. Only in few places like the Nagpur region, some of the workers participated, adopting some of the ideas of the Gandhian program. They boycotted the foreign goods as part of their own movement, okay, against low wages and poor working conditions. So here also you see that there was some selfish motto of the working class, that is to fight against the low wages and poor working conditions. So if they wanted to participate in the civil disobedience movement, they were interested more in increasing their own pay and having some good working conditions for themselves. So apart from this, they had participated in strikes. Okay, railway workers, they participated in strikes in 1930, and dock workers in 1932. And in 1930, thousands of workers in Chota Nagpur tin mines, okay, they wore Gandhian caps and participated in protest rallies and boycott campaigns. So this was how the working industrial workers participated, although their participation was very low, but still there is a record that they did participate in the civil disobedience movement. And the most important of all was the participation of women in the civil disobedience movement. During the Gandhiji's Salt March, thousands of women came out of their house to listen to Gandhiji, and they really were very much inspired by him. And they were so inspired that this was the first time that the Indian woman participated for Swaraj for the country. And they not only participated in protest marches, but manufactured salt, picketed foreign cloth, liquor shops, and they also went to jail for the sake of Swaraj. And in urban areas, these women were from higher caste families. In rural areas, they came from rich peasants' household, and they were moved by Gandhiji's call. They began to see service to nation as a sacred duty of women. So this was the role of women in the freedom struggle. So we will continue with the next unit uh, in the next session. And with this, I have given you some worksheet and an activity as well. You can go through that and complete it. Okay, children? So goodbye for now.